ESPN reported earlier today that the Mets are open for business on a lot of their players, including Brandon Nimmo, Mark Vientos, Jeff McNeil, Brett Beatty, Kodai Senga, Acuna as well. You know, that got me excited. Danny, what'd you make of those, the idea that the Mets would be open for business in that report?
I think welcome to the party. Welcome to the show, right? I think it's about time. You heard David Stearns use the word urgency. Maybe it could have been more urgent last year. And I think with urgency comes tough decisions. And I think that's why you're seeing some of the names that we are that could be on the market. And so I think to myself, it's kind of clear they want to get younger. It's clear that last year wasn't enough and we need to be better. And that starts with David Stearns. And I think this is where his bread and butter is. I think this is where he starts to shine. I want to focus on Brandon Nimmo for a second in that group of guys, right? Full no trade in his contract, $102 million still left. I thought this year, listen, for how old he is, he did a good job. He had 25 home runs, 13 stolen bases, a bunch of RBIs. Like, he's still a good left fielder. His metrics, he hits the ball hard, he hits the ball far. Like, he's still a good left fielder. But if you want to move on and you want to bring Carson Benj into the fold, which it sounds like he does, then yeah, you can shop a guy like that. And so it seems to me the overarching theme for David Stearns and this team is we have younger guys who can play, and it's time we make some drastic moves. Urgency means tough decisions, but to me, if you want to play and you want to win the division and you want to get to October, which you sorely missed last year, and it was like crushing. It was a crushing end of the season, that it might mean that guys who weren't already available or thought to be available need to be available now.
Well, I mean, you bring up a point with Nimmo. I mean, there's a point. You can be open for business and you can put the open sign on the outside of your store. But that doesn't mean you're going to be able to sell these things. And I think Nimmo is going to fall into the category of very tough sell. I mean, like you mentioned, there's a lot of money left in that contract. It runs through 2030. His skills have diminished. So I just don't know how you can even package him to move him somewhere based on the value and the cost at this point. But the Mets have a lot to do. So the business side of it, last year was fairly easy, right? I mean, they just targeted Juan Soto. He was plan A, and they just funneled all their attention, all their money to him, and then figured things out after the fact. Pete obviously became a part of that too. This year, there's a lot of different directions they can go in, and it can depend on who they can move. If they could move Nimmo, does that open up an outfield spot where maybe does Kyle Tucker become more of a factor in that? So I think they have to figure out what spots could be open and then figure out what guys they can get. But there are some big names out there from the very beginning that they need to target too, to fill some very big holes, bullpen, rotation, middle of the order. What else is left at that point?
Really.
Yeah, here's how I see it. If I'm the Mets, you have to be open, right? Like, and being open doesn't necessarily mean being reckless, right? Like, you could do one instead of being the other one, right? Like, you could be open on things without having to change everything. But I look at the Mets and I say to myself, okay, in 2024, they had that great season. If I'm the front office, I'm saying to myself, okay, look at this core, give them the runway to prove themselves. They earned that. Turned out in 2025, when they gave them that runway, it did not work out. And now you're a year older with some of those guys. So I do feel like you have to be listening to offers on some of those things. You have to be open to perhaps changing the personnel around. To your point, they underachieved greatly last year. So you have to do some things. There are a bunch of holes to fill. But it's going to be challenging. And Nimmo is at the top of that list as far as challenges go because he has that no trade clause. He's a tough guy to move. But he's also pretty productive. And you want to get something for him that's of value to your club. You're not just going to give a guy away like that, even though he is owed a significant amount of money for a significant amount of time.
Yeah, look, Nimmo may seem like, oh, who's going to want that? We said the same thing about Verlander and Scherzer when they traded them a few years ago. If you pay money to cut some of the costs down, somebody will take Brandon Nimmo. Now, I personally love Brandon Nimmo, but when you win 83 games, something's got to change. This has been going on since 2022. 1 year great, 1 year awful. 1 year great, 1 year awful. That can't happen with this core. So they need to change it up. And my biggest fear coming into this offseason was that the Mets would look at this and keep all these pieces intact, all those names that we had there, and then just add pitching on top of it. For me, that wouldn't be a good enough fix. Kodai Senga is a name that we brought up as well, Will. What are the realistic chances that the Mets, the fact that they're open for business shows me that they're not just willing to run it back and add pitching. What about, though, trading some of the pitching with Kodai Senga?
Kodai Senga is a tricky one for a lot of reasons. One being that I don't know if any team, let alone the Mets, know exactly what you have in Kodai Senga, right? Like, they've gone through this a couple of years now. So extracting the value for a Kodai Senga in a trade, difficult. It's layered because you don't know if he's going to throw 32 starts for you or if he's going to throw 8 or 10. Even if those 8 or 10 are really good, you just don't know what you're going to get from him. We've learned that about him. I do think the Mets are open to that idea, but they're open to pretty much all their pitchers, really, except for Nolan McLean, I think, at at least, as far as trade possibilities go. They have to be, right? But Senga's at the top of the list as far as, the name that I hear a lot from other teams because of that potential. We've seen it. He could be a number one guy for
I was going to say, there's a lot of upside with him at a pretty decent cost, too.
That's the thing,
which
too.
makes him a very attractive
But
player.
then why would the Mets be willing to give him up?
No, I don't want to give him up. I want to keep him. I need guys to eat innings right now. I understand they need to add. You got to get an ace. You don't have a number one. Nolan McClain can be a number one. He could get there. Maybe Sean Manaea could have been that guy. I still think he's going to bounce back. But I'm going to keep Senga for now because I need guys to eat innings, right? They were taxed last year, and they also taxed the bullpen because they couldn't get guys through 5-6 innings. So I'm not quite ready to give him up. I do think he's intriguing, right? He has a lot of intriguing qualities. But to me, if I'm this team, which, like, being open for business, being able to recognize that last year didn't work and something has to change. And that might mean being a little dramatic and doing something that feels untraditional or unorthodox to people, like moving a fan favorite like Brandon Nimmo. But to me, I got to keep my innings. Like, I don't know what the market is going to look like. I need to keep my innings.
I'm kind of worried with Senga, though. Well, I'm wondering, is the relationship broken, you think, between this front office?
That's right.
Of course, the ghost fork is going to be back. I'm wondering about the relationship at the end of last year. I mean, this is a team that was starving for pitching at the end of the year. Senga was healthy at that point, and they still wouldn't pitch him. I mean, his confidence was shot. It seemed like his faith in the organization was lost. And I wonder if there's a way back from that. And if there isn't, then that's the perfect trade candidate, right?